Hi everyone. I'd like to just take a moment to just have everyone take a peek at this list. These are this is a list of major life events which cause significant stress for people. And if you look down through this list, I think some of you will find that you've had quite a number of these happen throughout this school year or in the last year or two. And so what that means is the higher the number, so the death of a spouse, for instance, at 100, would be a higher stressor, which means a higher stress level number means it causes you you have an increased risk of illness. So if you have many of these and added them up, you can see how um, challenging it might be to keep yourself healthy, right? So just take a moment and kind of make a mental picture of how many of these you've experienced in the last year or so. No, we're in quite unusual circumstances right now. We have a pandemic happening that no one was expecting to happen, and this has put some of us into quite a bit of a spiral. And there's a bit of uncertainty that comes with that. So, what I want to do is have you shift from things that you can't control, these are things you're going to have to let go, to the things that you can control. For instance, I'm in Australia, I can't control how many rolls of toilet paper people at the store get. I have to let managers at a grocery store do that. I have no control over it. So I could spend my days getting upset about it, but it's not really productive for me. Um, so things in the middle is somebody put these together. This is really focused on the virus that's going around. But I want to just look at life in general, and in particular in relation to um, our community. And in our community, what I'd like you to think about are things that are really important for you to control. And one is setting boundaries. It's a little bit hard to say, no, I actually can't do that right now. But in some cases, that's exactly what you need to be doing. If you haven't slept for 18 hours and you're jet lagged, being asked to do a presentation for people, how in control of that situation are you? How well are you going to do that presentation? So it's important for you to set strong boundaries right now. And I think sometimes we worry we're going to hurt people's feelings, but if you really think about it, you hurt people's feelings more by committing to things and pulling back, or committing to things and not being able to do them well. Sometimes our ego gets in the way and we think we're the only one who can do something, right? So now there are times when those strict boundaries are really important. Um, I also want you to think about the sleep that you're getting. If you are in a different time zone and working, you're in one time zone and working in another, are you getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep at night, if that's what you need? And if not, how do you go about making sure that's happening? Are you exercising? Some of you do group exercises at the school. So how are you managing to, if being with the group's really important, how are you managing that piece? Because you don't want to drop your exercise when you have high levels of stress. You might find that you're turning to comfort eating, or you're overeating, or you're undereating. So be a little bit aware of the nourishment that you're giving your body. And I'll also add to that, as adults, be aware of the alcohol intake, the self-medicating that's happening, or the smoking cigarettes. All these things sometimes are happening out of boredom or out of feeling out of control of situations. So just be really aware of the changes that you've made in that and get yourself back to where you normally find yourself. Uh, Being organized, I think, is something that you can control. So if you have decided as a family, or you've decided on your own, you have to leave Bali, then there are pieces of that that you control. You decide the tickets that you want. You decide when you're closing your accounts, how you're closing your accounts, who's going to help you with moving your things. So get yourself organized, and that sometimes ticking things off a list that are big things um, a moving list can make you feel like you're accomplishing a lot. Well, you are, but and that can be helpful. And then lastly, I'm just going to say that I want you to just keep in mind the importance of reaching out for help. People are feeling more anxious than they normally do. And for some people who have a high level of anxiety to begin with, it can feel really disturbing. So reach out to help for help. There's something very different about getting support from somebody neutral as opposed to getting it from family and friends who mean well, have your best interests at heart, but sometimes give advice based on that. So lastly, I want to make sure that you are keeping your social connections going with family and with friends. And that can look different to different people. So I'm not going to give examples of that. But do a little self check right now and just, are you pulling away from people that you were close to? This isn't the time for that. So we have a long weekend ahead of us. Maybe time to sit down and think about the list of things or a circle of things that you can control and getting a focus shifted there. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend.